Why did Cyclone George kill 3 people? Why did a cyclone, tracked for more than a week, do such terrible damage to a mining camp in the Pilbara? Those aren't questions for the weather forecasters to answer. They're questions for the police and job safety specialists to investigate. And that investigation started this morning.
A trail of destruction from Port Hedland on the coast to the inland Wodgina mine site.
Absolute disaster, mate. I really think that I'm lucky to be alive.
Police and WorkSafe have started a major investigation into the deaths of 2 workers at the Fortescue Metals Group rail camp, or RV1.
Our teams will be really gathering evidence as we would in the scene of any death. They will include specialist photographs and other forensic evidence as they deem necessary at the scene.
Police will speak to more than 200 witnesses from RV1 about the deaths of 47-year-old mother of 2, Deborah Till, and Craig Allen Raab, who's 42. The Australian Workers Union says Fortescue Metals Group workers should have been evacuated.
Why couldn't the men and women have been moved out of the path of the cyclone? And secondly, if they couldn't be moved, what was the adequacy of the preparations at the camp?
I think there's a lot of inexperienced people here that had nothing to do with cyclones before, and I think that's probably plays a major part of it. But yeah, anyone who's local or has any knowledge about them, we should have never been left here.
Fortescue Metals Group has evacuated 730 of their employees out of the Pilbara. FMG is owned by iron ore billionaire Andrew Forrest.
I think as the chief executive of Fortescue, it is I who started this project, it is I who started this company, and it is I who take responsibility.
Deborah Till's family is threatening legal action against Fortescue Metals Group. Matt East in Karratha for Golden West News.
Cyclone George was one of the most vicious cyclones ever to hit WA. George killed 3 people and belted the Pilbara with winds that blew at 275 kilometres an hour.
Tropical Cyclone George was a Category 4 system when it crossed the coast at 10 o'clock on Thursday night. The Pilbara has been declared a natural disaster zone. The storm made a direct hit on a remote camp at Wodgina, run by Fortescue Metals Group. The workers were a railway construction crew. Deborah Till, who was 47, was killed at the camp. She was a caterer from Perth. Debbie was a mother and a grandmother. Emergency medical teams flew in by helicopter to the camp 100 kilometres south of Port Hedland. The workers were staying in portable accommodation known as dongas. George smashed them apart, lifting them off the ground and dumping them metres away. Some workers, including the mine's medic, were trapped in the twisted cabins.
So terrifying, I was scared. I thought I was going to die.
A makeshift hospital was set up until help could arrive. Workers were angry they weren't evacuated before the cyclone hit. Then yesterday, another of their colleagues, Craig Raab, died in hospital from injuries. He was 42 from Queensland. He'd suffered severe head injuries in the cyclone. Port Hedland's hospital was swamped. It was one of the biggest emergency airlifts WA has ever seen. 2 Royal Flying Doctor planes and a charter flight flew the worst of the injured to Perth. On Saturday, a rescue team reached Indy Station, 30 kilometres south of Port Hedland. The homestead was flattened, buildings thrown 50 metres in the air. This 30,000 litre tanker flipped over. Sid Baker was killed in the storm. He was 74 and may have suffered a heart attack trying to reach the homestead. This is a donga he sheltered in.
And then I found him there, and yeah, he was deceased, and I went back and got the other boys, and one of the boys sort of I think gave him the last rites.
The flooding rains have isolated many communities across the Pilbara. These pictures were taken as 2 men tried to rush medication to a friend. The tiny settlement of Peter Mara was virtually cut off after the cyclone. Despite it all, the families here are determined to rebuild. Bianca Haley for Golden West News.